Mark, what's 12 inches, pink and buzzes?
I don't know.
Piglet in an electric fence.
I'm enjoying this making a return, actually. You've been on form. 2 out of 2 is not bad. My Dixie Wreck.
Guess we're ready for the show then. The writing is atrocious. Not a single joke come even close to remotely landing or being funny.
Get a little bit of gasoline. I'ma make it burn. I'ma make it burn. I'ma make it burn. I'ma make it burn.
I don't know why, but that is extremely interesting to me. I'm into that kind of thing.
Get to the chopper. Sorry.
I feel like we're so spoiled by the internet these days.
Thankfully, this does wrap up quite quickly.
Step back, step back. You're gonna fuck up in a minute.
I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher.
How do you know about these people? And what the fuck is this pattern?
This effect made me want to die.
This couldn't make its mind up on what it wanted to be.
Get a little bit of gasoline. I'ma make it burn. I'ma make it burn. Let's go. I'ma make it burn. I'ma make it burn.
Hello, welcome to the Your Own Podcast. My name is Scott.
And my name is Marc.
And we are your hosts every week, taking you through new horror releases and movies voted by you. We release episodes every Monday, and they're available wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting our website, yourunpodcast.com. If you do venture to our website, while you're there, you'll also find all the links to all of our social media accounts. So that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Bottom of the page is a link to Marc's page, which is MW_horror reviews on Instagram. There's also loads of interactive features on the show, like 3-word reviews. You can also leave a voicemail for the show by sending an audio DM on Instagram or by recording us a Tick-em-Tock with no music, and that can get played on the air as well. I'm liking Tick-em-Tock, keeping that.
Yep.
Each week we give you a full deep dive review into the movie along with facts. We get your scores, but we're given a movie roundup and our scores too. Please note, this is a... Sorry, am I keeping you up? Mark just done the biggest yawn ever.
I didn't think you were going to draw attention to it then, though.
I heard it on the mic. I wasn't even looking at you, and I heard it.
Did you
the
really?
Mic. You're like, oh!
No, surely it was subtler than that.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
yeah, I'm okay.
Please note this is a spoily. Oh, you've broken me. This is a spoiler-heavy and very opinionated show. We tell it as we see it, and we do not sugarcoat our opinions. We also have lots of love to give to the genre and to other creators, and most of this comes from Marc and a feature of his own creation.
Recommended Account of the Week.
Dun, dun, dun. So this week's recommended account is none other than Lumberjay_reviews.
Yay!
Lumberjay is a big fan of the show and a good friend of both mine and Scott's, and an avid supporter of all of our content. And Lumberjay has now set up his own review page on Instagram, delivering
awesome.
some of the finest quality reviews the Instagram is likely to have seen. The thing that's unique about Lumberjay is obviously if you follow anything that we do here, you know we are horror genre specific. However, Lumberjay's is not. He ventures out into other stuff such as TV shows and Marvel stuff and action stuff.
He done Supernatural the other day.
He did Supernatural the other day. He's got The Defenders. He's got. He even did Schitt's Creek, which is one of my all-time favorite comedy shows currently on Netflix. If you haven't seen Schitt's Creek, go read Lumberjay's review and then go and watch Schitt's Creek, and then come back here and tell us how awesome you found it. But Lumberjay is a great guy. He's always been supportive of all of my review content, and I think it's only fair that I take this opportunity to show him some love and try and push him out to the masses. So if you're not following Lumberjay already, please go and show him some support. You don't need to tell him that the Urine Podcast sent you, because I'm sure he listens to this show weekly and he will know that we sent him there anyway.
Yeah. And he's a really good reviewer as well. So his reviews...
He is, yeah.
His
really
reviews...
good.
the funny thing is, like, he reviewed something the other day and he didn't like it. And honest to God, he tore it to fucking ribbons. I was like, wow.
Yeah, but again, he's not just doing reviews. He's putting quizzes out there. I say quizzes. He's putting posts, which are questionnaires and informative and interaction pieces for you all to get involved. This is a very varied review account, and I feel like a lot of people out there will benefit from it. So please, 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 of all the accounts I recommend to you, this one I would really enjoy it if you would go and give him some support and make it as successful as it deserves to be, because he's putting a lot of work and effort into this, and that deserves to be appreciated. So it is Lumberjay_reviews on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely go and follow him. Jay's a great guy as well, and he'll talk to you, and he'll talk movies, he'll talk everything. He's great guy.
Yeah.
Go and give him a follow. And one of the first recommended accounts you've done for ages that I already follow.
Yes. Yeah, well, like you say, I mean, I do recommend an account each week, and 9 times out of 10, it's an account that I randomly come across. But there is a lot of accounts that listen to the show and follow us and like our stuff and have their own accounts. And some of these people are even guests on the show, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be recommending those. So if you are a listener and you are a fan of the show and you feel like your content is worthy of being recommended account of the week, please message me and say, look, hey, my account might not have shown up in your newsfeed, but I listen to the show week in, week out, and I think like what I'm producing on the internet might be worthy of your listeners. And I would be more than happy to try and push your content as far as I possibly can. Yeah. So feel free to inbox me or inbox Scott, and Scott will pass on the message to me because I'm not in charge of the You Run podcast account. And I'm sure we can support you as and where we feel necessary.
Yeah, 100%. And also, if you've got an account that's got content that you don't think is worthy of the show, but you still want it to get a push anyway, still bring that to us.
Yeah, I'll check out anything.
Yeah. This week, we're in for a very special and a very unexpected episode. Now, a while back, we had today's movie scheduled in our lineup, and we pulled it and effectively banned it live on the air. This was following a heated conversation I had on Twitter with one of the crew. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, and a cast member of the movie reached out to me for an interview. Now, this is the You Run podcast, and as much as me and Mark went, this is a great idea, we put it out to you and said, obviously, you know what's happened. We've said no to the episode. Do you want this to happen? And 77% of you wanted this back in our rotation. The You Run podcast, you got it.
Yes, so we are back willingly to do Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yeah, we are. Today we're taking a stroll deep into the 100-acre woods to visit some friends from our childhood. A depressed donkey, a stuck-up owl, a little pig, and a bear with a strong desire to eat honey. The last time we featured a bear on this show, it was an absolute fucking annihilation. So let's hope today is a little bit more bearable for all of us.
Bear puns, is that a thing of this week, is it?
It's not. I've done one.
There was 2 in that sentence alone.
Not only are we heading off to the woods to meet our friends, but later in the episode, I'm going to be joined by the fabulous Natasha Rose Mills as we discuss the movie, its response, also lots of other things that Natasha's involved in. I'm sure you already know because Mark's just said it, but if you weren't listening to Mark, we are reviewing Rhys Waterfield's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
You know, you're the first person I ever shown this place to.
And why am I so special?
Because soon we'll be Christopher and Mary Robin.
We should be close now.
We're not going to find them.
We will. Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, we were friends for many years, and they're out there.
Christopher, we need to leave. Now.
I really need to find out what's happening here, okay?
This place is kind of cool. And did you say it has a pool?
We need to go. There's Laura's dead. There's someone else outside. What was that?
We used to be friends. Why are you doing this, please? I would have never left, I swear, I
swear. As always, the listeners hit us with their score first, and they have scored this Winnie the Pooh's first horror outing a 3 out of 10. Last week, we added website scores to this to make it a whole lot less biased and keep it sort of open to the world. IMDb have scored this a 3.6 out of 10. And our friends over on Amazon Prime have scored this 2.8 out of 5. So there's a pretty decent mix in there. Everyone thinks it's not that great. Let's find out what we think of it. If you are a first-time listener to the show, we do a full deep dive, scene by scene, sharing our thoughts and opinions, and we have a bit of a joke and a laugh along the way. After our review, you're going to get to hear the interview with the wonderful Natasha before we give you facts, 3-word reviews, and I'm rambling. Let's just get into it. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Are you braced for a bit of poo?
I think so.
I'm out to break you tonight. We open things up with a hand sketch scene explaining where there were once hybrids living in the woods, and they were discovered by Christopher Robin, who befriended them. There was an owl, a rabbit, Eeyore, Piglet, and of course, Winnie the Pooh. The story continues that they would all grow up together, and Christopher Robin become their source of food, bringing them picnics and all that kind of. Another picnic basket, boo-boo? No, that's another bear.
That's a different bear altogether.
It's a completely different bear. Christopher Robin grew up, and as he did, he basically reached a point that he had to go to college, and he left. With Christopher gone, everything was okay for a while until winter set in. Food becomes scarce, and Winnie the Pooh made the decision that they would have to consume one of their own. And they ate my favourite childhood character. They ate Eeyore.
Eeyore's depressing as fuck, though, man. He deserved to go. If you was in a situation, where you were starving and fed up, imagine this stupid little donkey in your ear all day.
Really?
He's hamburgers straight away.
I'd have eaten rabbit.
Oh, I like rabbit. Maybe owl. Owl's a bit of a knob, actually. He should go.
Yeah, I think I loved Eeyore. I love Eeyore because Eeyore's not depressed. He's just having a rough time. Eeyore is like my spirit animal.
Eeyore's having a rough day every day.
If I had a spirit animal, Eeyore is my animal.
One thing about this opening exposition that I actually really liked is it's done in a sketchbook style fashion. So it's like it's an animated introduction sequence, and I thought it looked really, really cool.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, the narrator explains that this one act of horrible violence changed them, making them revert to their feral ways. They have a hate for all humans, especially Christopher Robin, and they make a pact never to talk again. This opening scene, it was really good.
Brilliant.
Really
clever.
Good.
It delivered all the information that I needed to and answered all the curious questions I had regarding how do you make a horror film surrounding Winnie the Pooh. And it did it within a matter of minutes. And I was like, yeah, great, I'm on board.
Yeah,
perfectly. You've answered all my concerns immediately. Let's do it. Go time. Yeah,
and I was exactly the same as you. We now meet grown-up Christopher Robin and his fiancée Mary. Christopher is taking her to meet his animal friends of his childhood. The acting's not great, but it's kind of the level I expected from a movie with this budget.
It's terrible. Really, really poor. And one thing that really surprised me is that these are English cast members.
Yeah.
I thought this was an American production for some reason. I have no idea why.
So did I.
When I first watched it, I was so jarred by it. I was like, that's weird because you are clearly from Essex and talk like you are from Essex and not very well.
And the stupid thing is, though, we should have known because A.A. Milne is a UK writer. Winnie the Pooh is a UK-based bear. He's British.
I know, but just the idea of taking something like this and then turning it into a film is just so American. So I was just surprised at how British this film was.
Yeah, and it's really British, really, really British. There is some good acting later. There are some scenes in this where I kind of that's really good. This unfortunately wasn't one of them. We get a quick scene where Christopher is asking if Mary believes him about Pooh and Piglet. She does not believe him at all. She's like, I
appreciated her honesty though.
I did as well. She's like, if you had imaginary friends, that's cool. And I'm here in the woods with you and I'm here to support you in your mental illness. I'm fine with that. Let's go meet your furry friends, you crazy
so we
bastard.
can put bed to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, like, you are delusional as fuck, but until I bring you here for you to accept that as a reality, I'm here for whatever you need.
Yeah, and when we realise I'm here to deal with your little mental breakdown, and then we can go get married and everything's cool.
Yes.
After a while of walking, they find what I am now going to refer to as Camp Pooh.
Camp Pooh. I'm on board for that.
Yeah, I'm fully on board for Camp Pooh. Now, at this point, nothing sinister has happened at all. They've just found the campsite. And Mary has an irrational desire to leave and becomes terrified, like, on the flick of a switch, and it made me laugh. She's like, they get there, and he's like, oh, look, this is the camp where we used to play. She's like, it's not safe. We need to leave. Shit.
I don't know. I kind of get it a little bit, though, because he's been telling her this story of this fucking talking bear and pig and tiger and rabbit and owl and donkey that live in this imaginary forest, and she's just been like, there's no what?
There's no tiger here. The tiger's still owned by Disney.
I was going to say, where's Tigger?
Tigger didn't make an appearance.
I was going to say, where's Tigger? Yeah, so she spent her whole, however long this relationship has blossomed between her and Christopher Robin, thinking that this guy is losing his mind and living in a fantasy world. I'd be as concerned as she is, turning up and realising that this is some form of reality.
I don't know if I would. I think I'd just be more curious at this point. I don't think I'd panic. I think I'd be like, okay, maybe there's something to this. He's been speaking to someone. There's a camp here.
Yeah, but this camp is very sinister, though. Is it not? Do you not think?
Yeah, I thought it was. The camp has got the biggest pot of honey I've ever seen in my life. It's also got the grave for my pal Eeyore stuck in the corner. R.I.P. Eeyore, like scribbled on a bit of cardboard and stuck on a stick.
I think it's disappointing that they chose to kill him off so early on without having to actually get to see him on screen.
Yeah, I was, as I say, Eeyore's one of my favourites, and I really wanted to see Eeyore. I like the idea of a really depressed Eeyore killing people because he has to. Yeah. Kind of, it's now it's a chore.
I think it was a missed opportunity to disclude him so early on.
Yeah, I do.
I think he personally brings more character value than Piglet or even Pooh necessarily in this situation.
Yeah, I think so as well. They make their way into the hut, which the animals have constructed. There's also some caravans knocking around. I'm going to get to that later. I'm going to leave the caravans alone for now. I'm going to get to that later on. Once inside, they hear footsteps and they hide, which I didn't understand because like 3 seconds ago, Christopher was going, they're my friends, they're great, we're going to meet them, it's going to be wonderful. And as soon as they hear his footsteps, Christopher's like, quick, shit, hide, they're actually here. It's like...
I didn't get that either. Like, surely he should be there with open arms, be like, hey guys, I'm home.
Yeah, it would have made a really fucking short movie. Anyway, they hide, and what we hear sounds like a very large animal come in and take a seat. We cut from day to night, showing they've been there for quite a while. And we now can hear whatever come in snoring, and they make their way out and they leave. When they get outside, they slowly work their way through Camp Pooh. And instead of just leaving, Mary insists on hiding again. And as she does, we get our first look at Piglet. As Piglet attacks, the mask is not good.
No. that we when this trailer came out, I remember both of us being like, because we didn't have no idea of what the plot was or what direction this film was necessarily going to take. And me personally, I was under the illusion that these were masks.
Yeah, I think
And that it
masks.
wasn't actually necessarily going to be Winnie and Pooh underneath, and it was just a human underneath wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask
Yeah,
and a Piglet mask. However, this turns out to be trying to pass off as an actual Winnie the Pooh and an actual Piglet. And now
they're a hybrid, aren't they? They're part human, part animal, which I don't want a prequel to this.
apparently. These look more like Jim Henson's Ninja Turtles from the 90s. And
yeah, I love the Ninja Turtles.
I don't want to disrespect the Ninja Turtles. Fucking love the Ninja Turtles. I love me some turtles. However, the Ninja Turtles are a product of the 90s. This is a product of 30 years later and looks like a product of the 90s.
It's very, very true. His attack is fucking brutal, though. And I love his weapon, the massive chain that he wraps around her neck.
Very cool, yeah.
Christopher Robin is fucking useless, and Mary deserved better. He stands next to Piglet and goes, "No, Piglet, don't do this, Piglet." He makes no attempt to try and like attack Piglet or grab Piglet or try to save her. And Piglet just kind of is looking at Christopher Robin going, "Okay, I'm going to leave you there to scream," and then snaps her neck with the chain. I
didn't expect her to die like she did so early on. I was like,
no.
Shit, what's happening here? Because like these are supposed to be our pivotal characters, or at least that's what I thought.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was going to be centered around them, and it was going to be them running through the woods being hunted down by Piglet and Pooh. Christopher Robin makes a run for it, and we get our first shot of Pooh as he appears in a tunnel of trees. Christopher Robin is pleading, going, "Pooh, help me, there's something wrong with Piglet." And as he turns to sort of get away, he's kind of cornered by Piglet and Pooh. And we cut into some of the animation from the beginning, which again, I like that. I like the animation. The animation cuts are great. And we see him being dragged off. We see some bones and we see a fire pit. I thought it was Christopher Robin and they'd killed him in the fire pit. Spoilers, they don't kill him off.
No. I'm assuming this is Mary that gets killed off in this fire pit.
Yeah.
Oh, they eat Mary, which is what kind of happens. What did you think to the set design? Because it's a big standout for me in this film, actually. And I really like the filming location, especially that tree tunnel.
Yeah.
Although it kind of looked a bit like something you would find at like a Disneyland attraction. Like it looked fake, but impressively fake, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and based on the budget that they had for this, we'll get to that when we get to facts. They done set design is incredible.
Really good. Really impressive.
How they done it for the money they have, I'll have no idea. I can't fathom how they done what they done with the money they had.
And this in particular, like I say, that set, it was that tree arc that I noticed immediately, and especially the camp as well. When you first get into it, like, oh, this looks really, really cool. This looks like the perfect spot for paintballing. And then you get that tree arc, and you're like, that's awesome. Like that's really, really cleverly done. And it's just such a small, confined location, but it works really, really well. And you can tell that the effort's been put into creating something because it's not a natural thing. We haven't just scouted a location and found this and thought, oh, we'll film this here. That's been built. And yeah, I just think it was a really, really clever set design. Yeah,
and they come back, they use that tunnel a lot throughout the movie.
Yeah, and rightly so.
Yeah, they've done a really good job with that. We get the title card hit. CGI and digital effects is not this movie's strong suit, but that's budget related, so I'm not going to slam it too hard. This is they done the best with what they had.
The thing as well is like when these title credits start rolling, because everything up until this point was actually quite impressive, when it kicks in, it kind of brings home what this film actually is.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it gave me kind of like an 80s, almost like not a Nightmare on Elm Street, like a Friday the 13th style. I kind of got that vibe from it. It was very much a boom, Winnie the Pooh, blood and honey. And then you get a bit of CGI drip on the honey. I was kind of like, okay, it doesn't look great, but I get it. I get what you're going for. I was
I think that's one thing I will say about this throughout is like whatever I say regarding the quality or issues I take with this film is like the intention is there. The intention is always good.
Yeah.
It's just whether it's budget constraints to be able to execute it well enough, and that's another thing altogether.
Yeah, we cut into the opening credits and we get news reports of missing people and mutilated bodies, and it's all filmed very Texas Chainsaw Massacre styling. Again, little nods to the past. I'm all in for that. We do get some fucking corking lines in this. It's like you get that these echoey people speaking that are news reports. They put an echo over. It's like, don't go down to the woods today. And I'm sat on my sofa going, if you go down to the woods today. And then you keep hearing the 100-acre wood, the 100-acre wood in echoing voices. And I'm literally sat there going, you're going to get a big surprise. Da, 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 da. We fade out the credits and we go into a therapy session. And it was at this point, this is when I really realised this was UK based. Because it is from here on out, it is the most British production I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's so British.
But I think the thing is as well is because as a horror fan, everything I watch is so Americanized now.
Yeah.
And seeing something so British that doesn't feature Danny Dyer was
geezer.
It's just strange to me in this context, you know? And I was like, this is weird. Like it felt weird. And I say that as a British man.
Yeah, it took me a while to so it was this point I went, okay, right, they weren't just British actors at the beginning. This whole thing is in the UK, and my head adjusted sort of from here over the next 10 minutes to get my head around it. The therapy session, we've got a girl in therapy, and she's saying that she doesn't want to live like this anymore, and she's really struggling, and life is really hard. And the therapist basically says, you're going to take some time away, have a break, and sort of have a break from the real world. Take some friends and just chill out. Girls' weekend, Ibiza, Tenerife, Dublin. No, the 100-acre woods in Sussex, UK. The fuck? You're going to take a weekend away, go somewhere hot.
Yeah, not here.
Not here. If you want a break from UK life, do not stay in the UK.
Yeah, but film's got a film, hasn't it?
It has. We get a drone shot of the forest, and I have to say, I was impressed that they had a drone. I was like, wow, there's a drone shot. I'll be honest, I was impressed overall with the quality of the production. It is not what I expected.
No, and that's one thing I will say is the cinematography, the direction, the editing, even the score and soundtrack wise, it's as a collective, it's a lot better production value than I ever expected a film called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey to be.
Yeah, and I'm going to get this out of the way now. This is 100% better than the last Bear movie we put to bed on this show.
Indeed, I will also second that.
We get an overhead shot of a car, and we hear a conversation where one of the girls is running late, but don't worry, she'll be there. They stop at a very strange garage, the four girls in this car. It's quite obviously a repair garage, but one of the girls goes in and asks if the pumps from 1950 outside still work. The younger generation have no sense. If I drove past this garage, I'd be like, I'm going to keep driving. That's obviously a repair garage.
Yeah.
After shouting a few times, a man appears and says the pumps don't work. They haven't worked for years. No shit.
The decoration purposes of it.
His accent killed me. I couldn't work out if he was trying to be American or country or what he was, but his accent just had me in fits of laughter. He tells her 2 miles up the road there's probably a BP or a Shell, so probably head there. And as she leaves, a couple arrive in the garage. We get a hard cut to a group of 5 girls who will be our starring cast for the rest of the movie as they arrive at a house in the woods, which is blatantly on an estate.
Yeah.
I
mean, they tried their best.
They tried so hard to make this house look isolated. And there's a couple of shots where they're like, isolated house, woods behind it. They pan slightly to the left, and you can see like the terraced houses in the background.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's the kind of thing that would be taken out in post had there been sufficient budget to do so.
100%. In this group is our guest later, Natasha, who plays Jess. When they get in the house, Natasha, I'm sorry, but Jess is the fucking fun police. And she's like, right, all of you give me your phone now. We're a girls' weekend. It's all going on this table. I was like, no, a hard pass. No. If I'm away
is
for a
she
week...
the fun police, or is she the opposite of the fun police? Is she trying to take away everybody's phones and internet prowess so that they can all have a good time together and be in the moment?
I get it. She's trying to stop them all sat there doom scrolling like we do, and she's trying to get them more involved in the conversation that happens later with Maria, who's the one who's in therapy. But if that was me, I am a very attached to my social media kind of guy. If someone was like, you're not having your phone for 3 days, I'd be like, I think you're mistaken. I really am. I
think
really
I'd be
am.
grateful of the break, to be honest with you.
We now leave the house and we meet up with the girl who's running late, who has no sense of direction, and in a minute proves she has absolutely no sense whatsoever. Forget direction, just she is stupid. She calls the girls to say that she's lost, and Jess has taken everyone's phone, so she can't get an answer from anyone. Instead of driving to a shop or a garage or somewhere where there's humans to get civilization, she ambles on foot into the woods. At what point was that a good decision in her decision-making process?
At what point in anybody's decisions was that a good idea? Nobody would make that decision. If you have a car and it's not got a flat tire and has not run out of petrol or gas, if you're American, you would get back in that car and you would find an alternate route. That didn't require John Rambo in it through some fucking trees.
Literally, as soon as she walked into the wood, I was like, oh, you'll be our first victim of Winnie the Pooh then. Pooh appears and sort of stares her down. He moves fast for a big bear. I was surprised when he literally charged her. I was like, shit, Winnie the Pooh
What did
runs.
you think of Winnie's mask at this point? What did you think?
It's not great. It's really not great.
It is and it isn't. Like, it is good.
Yeah, it's got a real creepy vibe to it. And I know there's later scenes where they've messed around with some CGI to help the mouth move and the eyes move, but it is effectively a big rubber mask.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue I have with it, is that I don't have a problem with the mask. I have a problem with the fact that it is a mask.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's hard to explain and convey, but it doesn't look natural in order for me to be convinced that this is some sort of creature hybrid. Like, I'm very aware that this is a man in a mask.
Yeah, and again, it's a budget issue, but it did. Winnie the Pooh did not instill fear into me in the same way that Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers did.
No.
Had it been a man in the Winnie the Pooh mask, then yes, I would have found that a lot more creepy.
I think I would have done. I think that's the direction I expected this story to go in.
Yeah,
I expected them to take the idea of the book and the story, but modernize it into a way that you could humanize the characters enough that they're still the same characters, but they're not, if that makes sense. And they're the people, the humans behind the mask, and there's going to be some sort of grand reveal. But you're taking that property so it's relatable to people, so you can be like, ooh, it's Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, although the mask didn't work, I'll be honest, when he started running, I was like, shit. Because I didn't expect him to chase her down. I expected it to be I expected a Michael Myers stalking scene where he's there, then he's not, then he's back, then he's not. I didn't.
And we get that later on.
Yeah, we do get that later on. There's lots of Halloween. Reese Waterfield is a huge Halloween fan and a big Halloween.
No. Reese Waterfield is a huge David Gordon Green fan.
No, he's got a lot of H4 love. We'll get there.
Oh, he has got some H4 love in there as well.
Yeah, he definitely
I do
has. Winnie the Pooh chases her and she runs into a farm storage unit where she hides by a wood chipper. Instantly, I knew where this is going. You know where this is going. Pooh comes around the corner and grabs her. He then rips her top off to expose her breasts. Pervert.
Of course he does.
Dirty
Why
pervert
would he not?
Pooh. Pervert Pooh. He then, this bit shocked me. He smashed her head repeatedly against the chipper. Practical effects, pretty good.
Very good. Very good.
Really, really good. And I was shocked at how violent this was. I expected sort of him to grab her and dump her into the chipper, but he smashes her face in first, then dumps her into the chipper.
I'll be honest, at this point, I've gone through a roller coaster of emotions with this film already. Like, I was very on board at the beginning, then I wasn't on board, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then this scene happened, and the violence was so incredibly graphic and so incredibly well done as well, might I add. The practical effects works were fantastic. And I was like, yeah, all right, this is awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was very Tucker and Dale meets 6'6" yellow bear.
Yeah.
And I was here for it. I enjoyed this scene. One thing I did notice in this scene was the gloves they used for Winnie the Pooh's hands.
I was hoping you were going to call this out.
Did you notice the fact he was wearing like your mum's marigolds that she used to do washing up?
He was wearing marigolds, and this film company or production company expected me to pass it off as Winnie the Pooh's skin. And every time I saw a crinkle or a ripple in the glove, I was like, oh.
Do you know, as soon as I saw it, I had everyone, because there was a group of us who watched this together. And as soon as I saw it, I just went, because hands that do dishes are as soft as your face. And fucking everyone erupted with laughter. It's like, I
at
laughed
least
a
with
lot.
Piglet, they give him leather gloves.
Yeah, I mean, leather gloves or fluffy gloves or fucking no gloves, bare hands. I would have taken bare human hands as a hybrid.
Yeah, as opposed to him wearing marigolds trying to pass it off as yellow hand skin.
Yeah, but I did laugh a lot.
I did. I did have a chuckle, but again, it's for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Back in the house, the girls are getting settled in, and two of the girls are a couple, and they're quite obviously having issues. And we've all been there in a relationship where one's trying really hard, and she's kind of put petals on the bed, and she's making all the effort, and the other one's like, "Yeah, thanks, that's great." And it's I kind of felt a bit. We've all been there where one person is trying harder than the other, and you kind of, it's over. And I felt sorry for this girl. I was like,
yeah,
poor girl. One of the other girls, Lara, is getting ready to go in the hot tub. I'm going to say it. She looks like she's about to make content for OnlyFans. She's dancing about and she's posing and she's like pushing her boobs up to like look in the mirror, and I'm going, I'm expecting her to look straight down the camera lens and go, for only $4.99 a month, you could see a whole lot more.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was her career path after this film.
Harsh. We get some explanation now of the therapy scene. I quite like this. So you get Maria explains why this weekend's happening. That she's suffering the after effects of a stalker who stalked her for months and then broke into her house and touched her. And the flashback they show is it's not nice. So this creepy guy's crept in and she's sleeping and he's kind of like pulling her top down to reveal it's not a nice thing at all.
It looks like Bob from Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it does. It actually does. This is truly terrifying for anyone who's gone through a stalker, and both me and you have had issues with a crazy ass stalker since starting this show.
I kind of miss my stalker a little bit now, I'll be honest.
Hi, Lady Stalker. We know you are still listening, wearing your granny pants. We wish you well.
And come in and say hello. It's been a while.
You can call the show. Just send us. Oh no, you can't send audio DMs because we blocked you. You'll have to start a TikTok account and record a TikTok. Tag us with no audio. That's the way to get in touch because we can control that.
Oh no, if not, you probably know where I live. Just give me a knock and we can set up the mic in the office.
She definitely knows where you live. Do you ever have times where you're on your own and you can feel you've just got out of the shower and you can feel someone watching you? That's her. She's still there. But genuinely, it's a scary thing. Like when our stalker was at full peak, you and me were having conversations like, this is getting quite real now.
Yeah, it was getting quite real, man. That was basic instinct shit. She was messaging my wife, accusing me of affairs and all sorts. Like, she was trying to wreck my home.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the only person you're having an affair with is me. Everyone knows it. All the listeners know it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We fade to black. When we fade back up, we've got Pooh, and he has got a gyro-powered bike that when he pedals, it powers all the lights for their camp. I thought this was quite cool. I used to have a gyro light on my bike when I was a kid. So when you would pedal, it was like attached to like the wheel, and that would power the light. And then when you slowed down, it would get dim. And if you stopped, it would stop. So like your brake light, when you were pedaling, was really bright and red and cars could see you. And then you'd stop at a junction, it would go off.
Yeah, safety at its finest.
Exactly. Welcome to the 90s. More importantly, he's got Christopher Robin captain. This scene where he whips him, I loved. He's got Christopher Robin tied up and he goes and retrieves Eeyore's tail from a box and whips the life out of his back. And again, practical effects look good.
Practical effects look great. I'm just not on board with the actor who plays Christopher Robin.
Lisa referred to him as a budget Jude Law.
Looks wise, I get that, yeah, but it was more his. I don't know. It was like he was purposely trying to be posh, like he was trying to do a posh British accent.
No, Pooh, please don't.
Yeah, it was very. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, darling. Would you like more tea with that scone? And I was like, oh.
Is that how posh people talk? More tea with that scone?
I don't know. I'm not surrounded by many posh people, I'll be honest.
I love your southern accent is like the highlight of my week. After he's whipped him, he showers Christopher Robin with the blood of the girl he killed in the wood chipper earlier. Before walking up to Christopher Robin, he plonks a skeleton next to him and like turns and nods at Christopher Robin, almost like, there you go, I brought you a friend. You're not alone now. I laughed again because the skeleton looks all right, but he kind of coming. It's the way he's not gentle with that prop. That prop is not being used in Winnie the Pooh 2.
No, isn't that his wife?
Is that who it was?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's his wife.
Oh, that makes it even better. I didn't realise that. I thought it was just a random person he'd killed that he plonked next to him.
No. I think that is the remains of his wife.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. Stupid Scott. In this scene, we get some really clear shots of Pooh and saliva and honey dripping from his face. I know they had budget limitations on this, but a bit of creative lighting could have made that look much more sinister. And I'm going out on a limb now. I don't know if this is fact, if someone can verify it. I think that honey and that saliva was actually KY jelly.
Do you want to run us through your experience with KY jelly and how you're so familiar with the texture and substance?
I don't have any familiarity.
I mean, you sound like you know what you're talking about.
No, see, the reason I'm going with I think that's KY jelly is we've done so many horror movies now where similar textured product has been KY jelly.
Would you like me to give you another shovel to go with that digging you're doing, or do you want to just move on quickly?
Yeah, let's just move on. In contrast to what Marc said a minute ago, I like Christopher Robin in this scene. It's not an Oscar-worthy performance, but I think he done well here. I thought his acting was fairly good. Pooh goes for a walk and hears noises coming from the house. And we cut to Lara in the hot tub. So this is the OnlyFans girl again. She's got her phone now because she pinched her phone off the desk earlier. So after they had their sharing moment about the trauma that Maria went through, she pinched her phone and went to get in the hot tub. I don't want to be that guy, but what a rack.
I thought it. I didn't expect you to say it, but I thought it.
Yeah, my internal monologue is broken this late in the evening. I'm going to say there is a big 80s sort of exploitation of female character vibe in this scene.
Yes.
This is very much Put the girl with the big boobs in the hot tub. Everyone stares at the boobs. We capture our audience for 10 minutes.
It was a focal point of the trailer and the screenshots that got released around marketing for this film. So
Yeah.
they clearly knew what they were doing with this scene.
Yeah, she's taking selfies of herself and she's doing like the pose where she props her boobs up and then she's looking back through them. And as she's looking through them, she finds one of the photos has got Winnie the Pooh stood in the background because we know he's pervert Pooh. She then gets out and she's shouting into the darkness thinking it's Maria's stalker. And she turns on a wall light that is obviously faulty and it's flickering on and off. Get back in the hot tub, basically saying, some fucking weirdo's not ruining my holiday. We get an over-her-shoulder shot as the light flickers. We see Pooh and Piglet, then it goes off. And then when it comes on again, they've got a little bit closer. And then it goes off again and then on. And we repeat this process. It really bothered me because of how contrived the creation of this flickering light was. She got out and switched it on and it was faulty. And she didn't switch it off. She just left it. And it was purely a device to allow them to do this slowly staggered walk up. It bugged the shit out of me.
And again, this is just something that is becoming so, I don't know, copycatted within the horror genre. Halloween 2018 did it first. And then we've got it again recently in the latest Scream film. And now we've got it again in this. Is this like the new, lights on, lights off, scary element?
Yeah, it's like, I think Lights Out done it first. I think it's good that you went with H18, but I think Lights Out, the whole movie is set around that premise.
I haven't seen that.
Have you not? It's good.
Apparently there's a sequel coming out for that too as well.
Oh, is there? We
I
need
think
to get,
so, yeah, I'm sure it's in works.
We need to get that in a poll. We'll get that in a poll because I'd
I'd
love to
like
get
to see
your thoughts on that. Pooh and Piglet eventually reach the hot tub and they attack her by placing a towel over her face and she passes out. They remove her from the pool. And I've got to say, the guys who play Pooh and Piglet, it was at this point that I realised how big these guys are. They lifted her out of the pool like she was nothing.
Yeah.
They're big, 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 scary guys. When she comes round, she's hog-tied face down on the road. And Pooh is sat in a BMW. Thoughts?
As you do.
I genuinely sat in a BMW. I was like, okay. But I can't question how he learned to drive without upsetting you about someone else who's able to drive.
Which is why I'm not going to criticise this scene, and I'm going to ask that we quickly move on.
Okay. He's revving the engine, and Piglet uses his foot and the weight of the biggest sledgehammer I've ever seen to hold her still. Pooh slowly drives the car over Lara's face. Slowly.
Yeah. And although this scene is heavily CGI'd, I really liked it.
I really liked it. They made this effect for about £8.50.
But it looks good.
It worked. It genuinely worked.
I thought it looked fantastic, and it was clearly it was a little bit of a mixture of practical and then an overlaid CGI graphic, which weren't fantastic, but it was effective.
Yeah, it was definitely effective. And I'll be honest, there was a moment when it pans around and you've got Pooh sort of lit up in the car, and I saw the BMW badge on the front, that I did kind of have a chuckle and a smile. I was like, that's great. That is purely we want to do a really inventive kill. How can we do it? Why don't we get Pooh drive over her face? How can Pooh drive? Who cares? Put Winnie the Pooh in the car. That's kind of where it was. And I like, you and me are the same. I don't need, it's a slasher. I don't need the biggest in-depth explanation. I don't care how he can drive, but I do care that he's going to run someone over in a car.
I don't care about a lot of things when it comes to low-budget horrors like this.
Yeah.
I'm willing to let a lot of things go and enjoy it for what it is, which is, I think, exactly what you need to do with a film like this.
Yeah, if you go into this with an overly critical mind, or you go into this expecting a Gordon Green $100 million budget production, you're going to come out of this incredibly disappointed.
Exactly, which is one of my biggest criticisms for this film, which I will get to in my roundup.
Okay. The girls hear the scream and they go to investigate. Jess and Maria find the body of their crushed-headed friend as they run into the house, finding the other two girls looking at blood on the window that says "Get out." Line of the movie honestly fucking killed me. I nearly choked on my drink. Maria looks at the writing on the wall. She went, "Whoever's outside probably wrote that." Fucking no, really? Do you think? I could not. I was gone.
The dialogue isn't fantastic, is it? Let's be honest. It's a good job that these characters don't have a lot of dialogue between them.
I was gone for a good 5 minutes, cackling. Oh my God! There's blood on the windows, and it says something. Do you reckon that's the people outside? That is.
The thing that always gets me about scenes like this is how hard it would actually be to write backwards and still have perfect handwriting.
Yeah.
Like, it's very uniform. I know I'm criticizing something that's completely irrelevant and stupid, but it crossed my mind. I was like, oh, they've done that from the outside, but it still transfers the right way around to them. So in order to do that, you'd have to write that backwards.
Hey,
I still struggle to write forwards, you know?
Yeah, not being funny. Winnie the Pooh could drive a BMW. He could write backwards easily.
Of course.
The girls are now in a panic, and instead of deciding to leave, they go and get weapons. Two of the girls get some. They get a hammer and a knife. Maria, who's obviously suffering her past trauma, is having an absolute meltdown. And Jess stays with her to try and calm her down. The two tooled up ladies come back, and they basically decide, oh, Lara probably left the back door open. We better go and check that. It's at this point where Maria remembers she has a gun. And then
where did she have the gun from?
She brought it with her for protection.
Why?
I don't know. I'm thinking like snatches from protection from the Germans.
But we don't have guns.
No, we don't. We don't. But this is targeted at an American audience too, so we have to have guns.
But we don't have guns.
No, it went all lock stock.
But I was like, we don't have guns. Where have you got a gun?
The best bit is, though, she goes up to get the gun that she put in the drawer 8 minutes earlier, and then searches every drawer because she can't remember where she put her very illegal handgun.
That's what I mean. This is a very, very illegal thing for her to have. Like, she's looking at jail time, like serious jail time.
Yeah,
carrying this thing around.
But she can't remember where she put it, so she has to search every drawer in the bedroom to find it. When she does find it, it turns out it's a revolver from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood signed it.
It is fucking ginormous. It's borderline an anti-aircraft gun. It's huge. The two girls who've gone down to search the sort of back door, they enter the indoor pool area, and they head towards the back door. And this is where Piglet attacks. He knocks one girl down and the other one into the pool. Piglet then gets in and he starts to stalk the girl through the water with a sledgehammer, eventually like slamming her. So first off, he tries getting her with chains and he can't get her. So then he gets in and he chases her down with his sledgehammer. He gives her the most brutal smash to the face with the sledgehammer ever. Almost takes her head off.
I felt it as well.
Yeah, and then he kind of beats the lifeless corpse. This pool is about 4 foot wide. At no point did she try to get out of the side or swim away. Instead, she done that kind of awkward walk in water, painfully slow. She deserved to die because she's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. There's not a lot of brightly written characters within this film.
There are 2 brightly written characters, Maria and Jess. The others are literally just fodder.
Yeah. Oh, definite fodder.
100% fodder. The girl who's been knocked down has woken up and just seen her girlfriend taken out. Instead of running away, lays on the floor and gives up. And then we fade to black. Back with Jess and Maria, they watch Pooh search the house from the top of the stairs. When he dips out of sight, they go to check for their friends, and they find one of the girls floating in the pool, and the one on the side has now vanished. They head outside, and they see Piglet and Pooh carrying the girl away, and decide to mount a rescue mission. Mate, if this was you being carried away, I would remember you dearly.
Oh, I feel a bit disheartened by that, because I'd save you.
You 100% wouldn't.
I would.
Would you really? Would you come up?
Yeah, I'd fucking take my tie off. I'd John Rambo it around my head. I'd rip my sleeves off my shirt. Get some war paint in mud and shit. I'd be full tactical mode
Would you?
for you.
I would make a touching episode in tribute to your time on the show.
Well, thank you. Next time I'm going to let you die and just take over the show for myself.
Okay, that's fine. They follow them back to Camp Pooh. Also, I hope the creators of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey listen to this and take up the name Camp Pooh for the sequel.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I want Camp Pooh to be how it's referred to in the sequel. Also, me and Marc are happy to do a cameo in a death scene if you need some more fodder.
Oh, I would love to be in it. I would love to be in your sequel. If you get a sequel, please,
please kill me
for bashing your film in a light-hearted way throughout this review. I will give you the privilege of killing me on screen in the most brutal fashion.
You could even do it where we're recording an episode and Pooh comes in and massacres the pair of us.
Okay. Oh, that would be excellent.
We finally get to see Pooh eating some honey, and it is fucking disgusting. He's like pouring this like handfuls of goop into his mouth. It's not good.
It's dribbling all down his plastic rubbery face.
Yeah, and the girl they've kidnapped is like in the centre of Camp Pooh now. And I'm going to come back to the caravans. So they've got 3 caravans in here, and they are silver dome type caravans. The ones you get in like 1960s alien movies. They are all American Airstream caravans, and they are rare as rocking horse shit in the UK. I do not know why they didn't use a white one with periwinkle blue curtains instead.
What was with the voice?
It's from Snatch, isn't it? A caravan from him, periwinkle blue.
Oh, I missed that. That went right off my head then. I'm embarrassed that I missed that.
I like it when I tell a joke and they just watch the fucking tumbleweed roll across the screen. Makes me feel good.
Apologies, my friend, I do.
Pooh paws at the girl's face, and it's quite intimidating. And we also get like alien-style dribble as it kind of drops down on her face. Before he bitch slaps her, I just didn't know what to say.
Yeah, it was like...
He stands up and like, you see his hand come up, and I was expecting him to like grab a weapon or punch her, but it's literally like just a slap around the face, and repeatedly slaps around the face.
Yeah, it's. I don't know why, but I found this more disturbing than if he just decided to decapitate her there and then.
It's a really obscure attack, but it's really effective. And later when he uses it, I can see how hard he hits.
Yeah, because I think the thing is as well with a lot of horror films, especially something like this, is when you take something so graphic and violent and painful, you kind of expect an experience like that to be over quite quickly.
Yeah.
But when you take something as simple as a constant beating, it's almost like it's a tolerable experience, so therefore you know it's prolonged.
Yeah. So
it makes that more heartfelt to the viewer. So when you're seeing something as simple as a quick slap around, I say a quick slap around, like she's getting repeatedly haggard in the face, and you're like, that's not cool.
No, it's really not cool. And I was like, the first time he'd done it, the first slap, I was like, that's a bit mean, Pooh. And then when he kept going, I was like, oh, stop now.
Is it not weird for us as fans to know that, like, we're stood here and he's just given her a sort of a swift backhand and we're like, ooh, that's not very nice. Maybe you should take a machete to the face so we can get this over with quickly.
Does that make us bad people?
I think so, yeah.
We now see Jess and Maria arrive and they untie their friend, waking her up because she gets knocked out. We also get another fade cut here. When they wake her up and they've untied her, they stop to have a chat, and they're not in any rush to escape Camp Pooh. And they it's a good 2-minute scene where they're just chatting over how's your day been? Been all right? Oh, yeah. And then they slowly start to escape. As they're leaving, they hear a scream and they head back in. They discover Christopher Robin tied up and beaten. They untie him and they hear another scream. And Christopher Robin goes, oh, that's someone Pooh brought in earlier. And they go to save her. I think it's the girl from the garage at the very beginning.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. The woman knows them as Piglet and Pooh and says they speak broken English and they're half man and half animal. She says that Piglet mauls her whenever she tries to talk to him. Don't try to talk to him. Maybe he won't maul you as much.
The fact that you know this is a repeated pattern kind of gives me the idea that you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, if you spoke to him and he mauled you, and then you tried again and he mauled you again, probably don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
The girls untie her and they begin to make their way out of the camp. And the woman sees her face in a reflection and screams, saying she's not leaving until Piglet is dead. Maria can't handle her giant gun, and the woman snatches it off of her, and she's calling Piglet and screaming for him to get out there. Piglet doesn't shy away from a fight. Piglet comes out, and they do this kind of circle round the fire. I like this. She took out the gun, points the gun at Piglet, and fired it. Shock horror, the 1920s revolver did not work. Well, when she fired it and it went click, I kind of went, surely.
Of course.
Surely you saw that coming. Pooh approaches her from behind, knocking her to the floor, and then pins her down and pours honey in her mouth before Piglet mauls her face. It's at this point that Pooh spots the girls and Jess and Maria make a dash for it. The other girl doesn't. So the girl who they went in and freed initially, she doesn't run. Instead, she picks up Piglet's sledgehammer and smashes him round the face with it. Pooh goes after Jess and Maria, but they fend him off with fire. I think he was worried that his marigolds were going to melt. He didn't.
Yeah, definitely flammable.
Yeah. Back in Camp Pooh, Piglet is he's now tied up. The remaining girls tied him up, and she beats him about a bit before taking the sledgehammer to him again. One for every victim that she knows about. I liked this. I liked this sort of vengeance redemption scene. Pooh hears Piglet squeal and returns to the camp, and he one-ups Michael Myers from Halloween. Not only does he pin her to a wall, he pins her to a wall through her mouth. Bravo.
Yeah, very cool. She's clearly alive as well for a good majority of this.
Yeah, Halloween 78, eat your heart out. Great kill.
I don't know. That's a statement and a half, is it not?
That's the statement I'm using to advertise this episode. It's a great kill. I really liked this kill. Jess and Maria are now our only survivors, and Pooh is hot on their heels. They run out to the road and they flag down a truck containing 4 guys. This is a carbon copy of Halloween Kills, but with Winnie the Pooh. It's almost shot for shot the same. Yeah.
I was expecting a lady with an iron to pop up at some point, I'll be honest.
I was devastated there wasn't. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for Iron Girl's sequel. They circle Pooh and take turns at attacking him. Pooh then fights back, and this is where I understood just how hard he slaps, as he slaps a guy's face, like half his face, clean off.
Practical effects look great. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, Pooh kills them, hopefully for their terrible dialogue, which included, I'm going to open a can of whoop-ass on you, and after he'd smacked him around the face with the crowbar, you're tough, I'll give you that.
These are all clearly retired wrestlers.
Yes, and Pooh slapped the shit out of them for their bad. Pooh wasn't going to fight them until one of them went, I'm going to open a can of whoop-ass out of you. And Pooh slapped him, went, shut up, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No, you wouldn't slap Stone Cold like that.
No, because he would have opened a can of whoop-ass.
He would have opened a can of whoop-ass.
There's a crossover movie I didn't know I needed. But also, at this point, there's something that's new to the Winnie the Pooh world. Winnie the Pooh has the power to control bees as he summons them to kill the last guy as he runs away. I don't remember Winnie the Pooh having a very good relationship with bees.
He does not have a very good relationship with bees. I have a 2.5-year-old. I am reading Winnie the Pooh currently.
So
they are not his friends.
No. Quite often, the bees get angry and buzz at Pooh.
Yes.
Yeah, in this, they're buddies. While all this is going on, the girls are searching for the keys and they find them and they run over Pooh. They run him down and he goes under the truck only to emerge on the back of the truck in H4 style. He went full Halloween 4 and teleported onto the back of the truck. I can't tell you how happy I was.
I knew as soon as I seen it as well. I was like, fuck's sake. I was like, he's going to love this.
He climbs onto the front and he bangs on the glass, and Maria slams on the brake, sending him flying. Somehow in this scene, she knocks herself out, completing this emergency stop. She knocks herself
I have no explanation for this whatsoever.
clean out. When she comes to, Pooh is dragging Jess from the car. The scene where she drags Jess from the car and it's done in silence, her scream and her acting and that emotion on her face is genuine. It looks great. He then decapitates her. Which,
by the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the latest one, like fully cuts her head off.
Yeah, fully cuts her head off. Maria tries to get the car going and Pooh approaches the bonnet, throwing Jess's severed head onto the windscreen. Maria uses the wipers to get the head off the windscreen.
I don't think they would be powerful enough to do that.
It's just the fact she even, like, when you watch the scene, she looks down to see where the wipers are and switch. I half expected her to, like, do the spray to clean the windscreen. Pooh drags Maria from the car and he drags her round to the front, holding her at the side of the car, and he stands in the headlights. Christopher Robin to the rescue as he comes in with another car and crushes Pooh between the two. Pooh's kind of down, but not completely. Christopher tries to wake Maria up so they can get away. And Pooh comes back and pushes the cars apart. He forces himself out of the wreckage, and as he does, the car explodes. And this sort of causes Christopher Robin to fall down, and he grabs hold of Maria. And Christopher Robin begs and pleads with him and offers himself, going, I'll stay with you, Pooh. I'll be here with you in the forest forever.
This scene is so fucking jarring. I don't get what's going on here. Because Christopher Robin has been chained up throughout this entire film, and he's had one of the briefest interactions with Maria. Like, the briefest interaction you could possibly imagine. But then this ending sequence is almost as if they have a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, I will sacrifice myself to save her for you, Mr. Winnie the Pooh.
But,
I don't know who I sound like that, but that's certainly not.
No, I don't know who that was. But no, honestly, if it was me, and as sad as this would be, I'd be like, okay, Pooh, you have fun with that. Bye-bye now.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't, because I'm not a bad man. I would try and save her, but the way he portrays it is almost as if like they have some connection between one another.
Yeah, which they don't. But we do get to hear Pooh speak. So Pooh says, "Oh bother." No, he doesn't. He doesn't say, "Oh bother." It would have been. I don't think they can. He says, "You left," and with that, then slits her throat. She dies in Christopher Robin's arms, and Pooh stands
again. Like this scene, he's like cradling her and cuddling her as if it's like his wife, and it's like, what are you doing? You don't even know this woman. Like, get the fuck up and run away.
Yeah, and eventually he does get up and run away because Pooh just kind of stands there and watches. When he runs away, Pooh repeatedly stabs Maria as Christopher runs off into the distance.
Yeah.
At the end of the credits, so the credits roll now, at the very end of the credits, did you stay all the way to the end?
What do you think?
I don't think you did.
No, I certainly didn't.
At the very end, it goes full on Marvel. And it says, in writing across the screen, Winnie the Pooh will return.
And that's it? Is it no visuals? Is it just
no visuals? Just Winnie the Pooh will return. That's our run through. I think it's only fair now that I nip off and I talk to someone who knows a lot more about this than we do. Jess from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, or her real name, Natasha Rose Mills, is now going to join me for a quick interview. So, Natasha, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and so much for having me today.
No, not a problem at all. I'm delighted that you're here. Anyone who's listening will be wondering where Marc is. Marc is currently looking after his little girl who's not very well. So you've heard Marc for the majority of the show. He's now gone for the interview, and he'll be back for the end of the show as well. So it's just me and you, Natasha.
Awesome.
First thing I want to ask is, how did you get involved in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? How did that come about?
Well, I've worked on another project with Reese and Scott previously. I did Krampus. I don't know if you've seen any of the clips of Krampus. There was a trailer of it, The Return of Krampus.
Return of Krampus.
Yeah, so I did that one. And that's when Reese contacted me because he thought I would be right for the role. And that's how I got involved in it. And initially, my thoughts was Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
He told me it's going to be Winnie the Pooh. And he said, don't worry, it's going to be good. So I was like, I didn't know, because you obviously, your mind's going to go to the cartoon version, isn't it? It's like, it's going to go to the Disney version, because that's pretty much what people know. But obviously, the A.A. Milne version, which isn't really talked about, the 1926 version.
No, and it's such a departure from the Winnie the Pooh that everyone knows. I mean, I sat and read my kids a Winnie the Pooh book pretty much every night, and it's a long way from Oh Bother and Christopher Robin, can you help me with a balloon? It's a complete departure from that in every way. What was it like shooting? Because obviously it was shot in the UK.
It was just outside London. I'm trying to think exactly. Well, there was a few different locations, but one in particular was like a caravan sort of site. It looked just like the 100 Acre Woods. Imagine that kind of scene.
Yeah. And
so obviously you've seen that scene anyway, and that's kind of what drew me in. Obviously there was other kind of aspects of it with the big house that we shot in.
The big house, I take it that was that rented just for the production, or was that someone's home that you sort of borrowed to do it?
Oh, it was rented for the production.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
it's a huge house as well.
It was, yeah, and it was nice as well. We got to do some really nice scenes. In particular, Vince is very good for cinematographer, and you can see some of the wide shots. Like one in particular I really liked is when Maria was sat down and we were sat down on the sofa. So that was quite a nice shot.
Yeah,
with the fireplace just behind.
Yeah, where he pans right back out, and also there was a couple of drone shots in this as well, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, yeah.
It was shot really quick. So was it a 10-day shoot? Is that right?
It was a 10-day shoot, and then we did some pickups. We didn't know that it was actually going to do this well. Initially, it was thought, is this going to be a fun project to do? It went into the public domain, and that's when they kind of decided. Jagged Edge decided they were going to, take it on themselves to actually create it, and we just didn't know it was going to do that well in terms of all the press and stuff that it actually received. Which has been such a journey.
When it was first announced, it kind of popped up on everybody's radar, and then it went quiet, and then all of a sudden, some of the big publications, things like Bloody Disgusting, grabbed hold of it, and then from there, it went from getting a 2022 release to streaming to a limited cinema release, which then got extended, and it kind of grew arms and legs. And I think that's because everybody wanted to see Winnie the Pooh go and butcher people. I think that's what it was.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it did. Obviously, with the trailer, it just really kind of stirred something up. And obviously, there was some controversy around people saying that it's ruined their childhood. But I think there's always going to be that other Winnie the Pooh that's going to be there anyway. But this is just like the kind of reimagined version for adults. I think you have to say that it's for adults, it's not for children.
No, it's definitely not. And I wasn't going to ask you about that, but as you've brought it up, have you personally received any backlash, or has that all been directed at the director? Because I know there's been a huge amount of backlash from certain people who don't think it should have been touched.
Not so much, but occasional comments, and that's it. On certain posts, which is just not ideal, but
no, and it's one of those things. I think when you touch something that is so beloved, you're always going to have that kind of negative response. And it's the same when it's even the same like with when they redone the Halloween, when they touched Halloween again, they done Halloween 18 Kills and Halloween Ends. Even that got such huge backlash for, it's like, no, don't touch that. We liked that how it was.
We don't want it to be any other way. Just keep it as it is. That's it. But I think as we're going into a new era as well, it's a change, isn't it? It's something a little bit different that people can experience.
Yeah, exactly that. And there's other projects in the pipeline. So obviously there's been the announcement of the sequel to Winnie the Pooh. There's also been the announcement of a Neverland Nightmare, which is a Peter Pan, and Bambi Reckoning.
Yes.
Are you attached to any of those projects yet?
No, I'm not. So I don't know kind of what's kind of happening with that. So yeah, no, I'm just obviously in Winnie the Pooh, but not sure kind of what's on the horizon at the minute.
Okay, Reese, if you're listening, recast for one of these movies, please. One thing I want to ask is, working with the guys who played Piglet and Pooh,
yes,
they are both really big guys, and it wasn't apparent to me until later in the movie. You've got some scenes with Pooh that are very up close and personal. He is a huge guy, and he looked like he was really manhandling you. And I know obviously he wasn't hurting you, but are those guys as big as they look, or is that a bit of movie magic? Because they look terrifyingly, scarily big.
I think what they've done is they, obviously like some sort of CGI with the eyes and things like that. But obviously not terrifying. Craig is lovely. He's just really soft and sweet. And same as Christopher. But obviously it's going to be a different picture when you're actually watching it.
Yeah, and I know obviously Christopher's done a lot of stage work prior to this. I don't know a huge amount about what...
Craig.
I don't know a lot about his history, but I know Chris has done a lot of stage work. So I imagine for them taking a role where they're very... Then especially Chris, where he's very vocal and using a lot of his facial expressions to try and act behind a big mask is very, very difficult.
I know they had a lot of problems. As Craig was even talking about, it's really hard to breathe at times.
Oh, really?
And because of the mask, yeah, it's very, very restrictive. But just like in between takes of being able to. Stories
from set. What happened on set that no one else knows of? What sort of story? What sort of? Because something wild always happens on set. Something always goes horribly wrong. Something always is like a last-minute rush to get it done because the lights fade in. And what things happened that we don't know about?
A lot of things like that happen if you're talking about the lights fading and losing power and having to recharge and these things like that. They always happen. There was like one scene in particular, bloopers that may come out at some point, when we're all kind of like hustling together, the girls are.
Yeah.
And then we all fall down like dominoes, just like one after the other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks quite funny actually. And, some other scenes as well with Craig running.
Yeah, I can see some of the scenes, like when he's running in that costume, even in the cuts that are used, you can tell that it's not a comfortable thing to run in.
Yeah, I know.
I
very restrictive.
Yeah, very restrictive. What's your background, obviously, before this? So I know that you've done Return of Krampus, you've done this. Have you always been an actress, or is this something that you've kind of fallen into? Was this your life goal to do this, or? Well,
I studied acting at college. And I've done it for some time. I started getting more into it probably, I don't know, 9 years ago maybe. And that was when I just started just putting myself out there really and studying. And I also wrote a film based on the effects of domestic violence, which is Colourblind.
Is that available to stream? Where can we get that?
It is. You should be able to just type it in. So if you type in Colourblind, maybe it's Natasha Rose Mills. It should be easy to access.
You do a lot of work outside of this as well. So when you first contacted me and I sort of I looked through your profile, I was expecting lots of acting credits and lots of pictures of Winnie the Pooh, but it's not. So what else do you do? Tell everyone about what you really focus on, which I think is amazing.
So as well as the acting side, I'm also a coach and a mindfulness compassion therapy teacher. And I help actors and creatives attract what they want without fear. Also, I help people going through trauma, depression, and through self-compassion of what led me to where I actually am today after going through depression myself. That's what led me to become a mindfulness self-compassion teacher. And then I ended up being part of a multi-author book. It's called Creating Joy, and that's available on Amazon. That went to #1 on Amazon, and I had a few features based on that on self-compassion in Fox News, NBC,
Oh,
Yahoo.
wow. Self-confidence is something that I think everybody struggles with. I mean, people listen to me week in, week out on this show, and I come across as confident and I got conviction in what I'm saying, but that doesn't come naturally to me, and it doesn't come naturally to most people. It's something that you need to work on. And having someone who can help people with that is really important, because as a creator, even with you coming on today, I've interviewed lots and lots of people, and there's still that element of nerves of what do I say? Do I get this right? What if I say something wrong? What if I say something that offends? How do I do this in a way that makes everyone happy and we all get what we want? And
can I tell you what is the magic secret?
Yeah, please do.
So the magic secret is self-compassion. And there's a lot of science when it comes to self-compassion. And it's not this namby-pamby of, using self-compassion, but it's a way to give yourself kindness when you need it the most. But it's also to give yourself encouragement when you need it too. And the more you're able to give yourself praise, and this is also through Buddhism, because that's what's taught through Buddhism as well.
Yeah.
It's Bodhisattva, through self-compassion and kindness, you notice a shift and a change because you're building trust within yourself. And the more you can trust yourself, that's when it starts to change. But also changing the neural pathways within the brain by practicing mindfulness and self-compassion will obviously start to change the neuroplasticity.
What you've basically said is if you're looking after yourself mentally and giving yourself what you need, everything else will kind of start to slot into place around that, which is, it's a really good philosophy. And it's also being happy with what you're doing and happy with how you portray yourself to the world, because we all have demons that we have to battle and fight through, and being able to come to terms with them by loving the good parts of yourself definitely helps. Yeah.
It's just knowing how you can overcome those challenges, but not seeing them as a challenge, seeing them in a different way. So you can almost just turn towards it and see how you've either overcome it before, or so you can turn towards that part of you that's experiencing that, because it's all to do with the body and then understanding the signals.
Yeah.
Also, the other side is that it is intuition and connecting to your intuitive signal within you, which is your inner guidance. It's the hunch. And this is another side of what I teach, is being able to connect to that part of you to gain that insight. Because often we get hunches sometimes, or we might have an inner voice, but we don't always act on it. But the more we can sense into it, you're more likely to.
Yeah, and for me, I am very much I go with my gut. When I get a gut feeling that I should do something or I shouldn't do something, I learned a long time ago that is normally the correct path to take.
Yeah, I agree. Can I elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, of course you can.
So sometimes what people do is they go with their emotions. So it's differentiating between the two of what is my emotion and what is my intuition calling. So when you're in a heightened state of mind, when you feel really anxious, that's most likely going to be driven by fear. Yeah. Whereas when you're more at peace and balance, it's likely to be, you do have the two intuitive signals. It could be through peace and balance and butterflies, where you feel that is a yes, that is basically the direction telling you to saying yes. Yeah. Or it's the no, where you obviously get a pit in your stomach. You just kind of know when sometimes you're in a place and you feel like, there's something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I think we've all been in a place where we've kind of looked around and you go, this isn't good, and there's people will deal with that in different ways. For me, it'll be I'm going to remove myself from this place because I don't like it, and other people will ignore that. And I've never understood how people can ignore that when you get that feeling in your stomach that this isn't right. I always struggle. Yeah, you stay. I don't get it. How could you do that?
I think there's lots of different factors to take into consideration. As an example, if you're in a domestic abuse relationship, because of the coerciveness, and if you're a victim, you don't realise that you're a victim. So if you're talking about that, then that could be, your intuition would be calling at some time saying there's something doesn't feel right, but there's also that part of you that also loves this person. But if you're actually in a place, something doesn't feel right there, sometimes people just go ahead with it anyway, and they just ignore it, because this is all about training. It's training your intuitive signal and understanding it, which it does is really to do with your personal development.
Yeah, and I think everyone that goes on a personal development journey, and whatever you do, be it acting or your work life or your personal life or a podcast like this, there's a point at which you start, and then you learn and you grow and you adapt. And the people who thrive in the environment they're working in or they're living in, are the people who learn to adapt, and they learn to communicate with the people around them and communicate with themselves and be honest with themselves. I think that's being honest with yourself is one of the hardest things, and being critical of yourself when you need to and praising yourself when you need to is very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, sometimes as human beings, it is very difficult to give yourself compassion and also being honest with when you make mistakes or when you are in the wrong. Sometimes you might not want to admit that, but that's also important for your growth to be able to do that as well. Except that sometimes we make mistakes. It's only human, and it's okay to make mistakes. And being able to sort of reinforce that can be very helpful.
Yeah, I agree. We've gone on a massive tangent away from what we were talking about. I'm going to drag it back to the movie for a minute.
Yeah.
When you were filming this, there's a lot of emotion in your scenes and Maria's scenes in particular. There's emotion across the whole movie, but a lot of the other actresses have very limited emotional scenes that are fear-driven when they're being chased down and hunted down. Yours is a lot more prolonged throughout the movie. I would say you and Maria are probably suffer the most throughout. How do you get yourself in a headspace to portray that kind of fear and terror and emotional distress in such a short space of time? Because you don't have long to go from okay, right, we're ready now, and Reese goes action, and you literally need to go from okay, I'm ready, to completely distraught. And how do you get in that headspace?
Is understanding the character's journey and being able to understand your own emotions. So I've learned so much going back to mindfulness. Being able to connect through your own emotions will help you to connect with a character, because it's your emotions that you need to be able to adapt to understand that character. So it's like through empathy and stepping into someone else's shoes, essentially. When I was doing that scene, I was very disorientated. For a moment, I was completely disconnected. And that's how it felt to that extent, because that was like a really intense scene when I was getting dragged out. It was...
Yeah, and you can see on your face, it's genuine terror when you're dragged away and you scream. Your face is terror. It's not I'm doing a final girl scream because I'm in a horror movie. This is terrifying. There's a giant yellow bear.
It was terrifying, to be fair. There was me and Maria were talking about this. At times it felt very real. And it was frightening, but also on two other things, really. you're being chased, but then it's also outside, you're in the woods, so there's also a scare factor there. But when you're also able to understand that character, like Jess, then it's easier to be able to bring into it. So that's kind of how I was able to just find the emotion within me to understand, like, what would she be feeling.
Yeah, and I like Jess's character, because Jess's character goes on quite a wild ride. So at the beginning, I refer to Jess as the fun police when they all arrive at the house, when she strips them all of their phones, and she's very much kind of almost like a mum figure to everyone. It's very much right, we're all going to have fun now, so you're going to get off Instagram, you're going to get off TikTok, you're all going to put your phones down, and we are going to have fun. And when I watched it, I kind of went, oh, what a killjoy. How he's taken all that.
Yeah, she's definitely the mother and the killjoy in that sense. But also, because of what happened to Maria, she wanted predominantly the focus to be on Maria. And she knew that if all the other girls were going to be on their phones, then there'll be a distraction away from, let's make Maria feel better. Let's help her to recover from the trauma after this stalker.
There was lots of elements in here that touched on lots of quite very real things, like the take away Winnie the Pooh, take away Piglet, take away all of that. The stalker element of this is something that is a genuine thing, and it happens to lots and lots of people. It's happened to me and Marc since we've done this show. We've had a stalker effectively a stalker of the show, who's contacted Marc and tried breaking up his marriage and
dear,
all kinds of crazy things like that. So these people they're real, real, and that is probably the genuine fear that's used in this movie. That's a vehicle to instill fear that I didn't expect it to be there.
Yes, I mean, I liked initially when I read the script, the two different contrasting stories of Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, them growing up together, and also Maria recovering after going through that stalker scenario and going to the woods with us, so we can cabin in the woods,
help her fix
to help her fix.
Horror movie wise, are you a big horror movie fan?
I used to watch Freddy because I like the story aspect of the dreams,
but
I wouldn't watch it now, I don't think.
Would you not?
No, probably not.
So how do you go from not watching horror to getting into horror? Because this is it's your second horror now, it's not even your first. It's,
you know what? It's just a difference. It's just a different feeling being on set compared to actually watching it, observing it. It's fun. It's exciting. Like, obviously there's the aspects of being like doing a death scene, but sometimes the death scene isn't that bad, but it looks bad when you watch it visually.
Yeah, but actually being there, it's not.
Yeah, being there is a journey, and it's fun, and also collaborating with everybody else and working with everybody as part of a team, I think.
What's your goals next? What's next for you?
What's next is to work on more projects.
Okay.
Work on other projects as well, dramas, period dramas.
So you're open to anything acting-wise? You want to spread your wings and try other things? And
yeah, definitely. I mean, I did The Code.
Yes.
Which is based on the times of World War II, and that was with Patrick Ryder. I like those type of films and also series in that genre. Actually, The Crown as well is another example. Yeah,
Crown's a great show. I love The Crown. So sorry, horror movie fans who are listening every week. I do
like horror films. It's, especially when you're working with somebody, in particular when I was working with Reese, there's a lot of flexibility there. And what I mean by when you're working with a director, sometimes you're not able to voice your opinion, or you might feel a bit worried about, if I voice my opinion, that it might not get accepted or might not listen to me. But it was very different working with Reese, because he was very accepting of, if you have any ideas, feel free to share them. Let's see if it's going to work.
And I think because this is Reese's first big directing run, Was it very much? I get the feeling, like watching you all, especially all the girls together. I get the feeling it was very much a family vibe, and there was lots of time spent together
Yeah.
off of camera as well. Is that how it was?
Yeah, we had a great time together. We did spend some time together as well, going out for drinks, and in between, in between the time where we were away for a few days. So it is that sense of family environment of bringing everyone together. And I think that's also important, because if you're able to spend more time together, then being on set is going to feel more connected.
Yeah, and your relationships will come across more authentic as well. If you spent time, for example, if you spent time talking to Marie and you've gone out and you've had a couple of drinks and you've shared a couple of stories of your personal life, when you then go into filming the next day, you've both got a very different understanding of each other, and that then becomes more authentic, as opposed to putting two actresses together and going, you're Jess, you're Maria, go.
Yeah, you still have to form some sort of understanding and connection, and then through what they've gone through, because otherwise, if you're not able to do that, I think if you're working with somebody, then it can just feel there's nothing there. So you need to be able to relate. It's all about relationship, isn't it? Building that sense of empathy and connection.
Before we go, I want to ask you one more question, and that is, where can everyone watch Winnie the Pooh?
Okay, so you can look at it on Amazon, so you'll be able to actually download it now.
Yes, which is how I watched it, because I looked for a theatre that was showing it near me, and the closest one was an hour and 20 minute there and an hour and 20 minute back. So I then had a panic. And thankfully, it had gone on Amazon the day that I decided that I was going to watch it. So, yeah.
I think there's some cinemas that are showing it, but not as many, I don't think, at the moment.
No, there's a few. So I think
few.
The closest one to me was Reading. I don't know what the state is in the US. In the US, I don't think you can stream it at the moment. But I think it is still in selected cinemas in the US. But here in the UK...
At the moment it is, yeah. And a showcase.
So if you can, go and see this in the theatre, because it does make a big difference watching this on a big screen. I downloaded it on Amazon. I actually bought it as well, so I didn't just rent it. I bought it, so I own a copy now. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And I guess it's time for us to get back to the episode. So if you want to say goodbye to the listeners, that'd be great.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the film as well. And yeah, just have fun. Just have fun. Just detach yourself from anything before you watch it. It is just a bit of fun. It's a spoof horror.
Yeah, exactly that. And if you go into this taking it too seriously, you're in the wrong movie. It's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yeah. It's not just Winnie the Pooh.
No. A huge thank you to Natasha. It was lovely to have you on the show, and it was lovely to hear about your experiences in the movie, and also all the things you do away from Winnie the Pooh. It was great. Thank you so much. Should we do some 3-word reviews?
Please.
Zoinks! 3-word reviews, man!
Dewey Pod Monster needs more cocaine.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He fucking definitely doesn't. Dewey Podmonster's a horror podcaster. No bear needs more cocaine ever. That's fact. Hey, Internet, Eric here. Piece of crap. And he's a YouTuber and horror account. We've got Skellington Fan. Waste of money. They're a Jack Skellington account. Skelly. We'll love Skelly. Doesn't pull her punches. Frightmare Collective. Oh, bother. Sigh. Horror podcaster. Top Shelf Horror is Ali. Silly old bear. And he's cocktails inspired by horror and 1/3 of the Ghoul Kids Table podcast.
It's time for facts and fuck-ups.
This movie came about when the original book, Winnie the Pooh, slipped into the public domain. Disney, however, owned the rights to their version of Winnie the Pooh. So that's the voice, the catchphrases, and the red top, which I think is why they made the decision to not have Pooh speak, and also why he's wearing a lumberjack shirt and also a brand new pair of Timberlands.
And dungarees to match.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, he's got a very similar look to what I had when I was like 19.
Yeah, I've rocked that look as well in the past, I'll be honest.
Yeah. The movie was made. How much? What do you reckon it cost them to make Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey?
Oh, I wouldn't even know to hazard a guess at what that would be. I would say, oh, fucking hell. Surely it's not above 1 million, is it?
I'm not telling you. This is the whole point of a guess.
Oh. 900 grand.
They made this for under $100,000.
Wow.
So
That's
far,
impressive.
yeah, really impressive. That's why I've been saying all the way through, like with their budget, what they've done, I was genuinely stunned. So far, this has grossed worldwide over $4 million.
Well done to everybody involved.
Yeah. 90% of that money comes out of pure curiosity.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the hook of using a well-known name to sell a movie.
I think it's marketing as well, marketing ploys and faith in theatres, I think.
Yeah.
To take something that's supposed to be streaming release only to then announce that it's going to be a theatrical release puts in the minds of people that this is something to look out for. Oh, if it's good enough to go to theatre, then we better go and pay money to watch it.
Yeah. There's going to be a sequel, as teased at the end, confirmed by the director. He's looking at a $500,000 to $600,000 budget. He's also looking at making 2 other movies. So a movie called Bambi Reckoning, which is going to follow Bambi as he goes on revenge for the murder of his mother, and a horror version of Peter Pan depicting an overweight, drug-addicted Tinkerbell. I don't know how I feel about either of those, to be fair.
Based on this, I'm not looking forward to either.
The movie was filmed in 10 days only and was shot here in the UK. As I said earlier, the movie did not feature Tigger, as he's not in the public domain yet. So I'm going to give you my Tigger impression. Do you want my Tigger impression?
Definitely.
Okay, hold
on. It was all right, mate. You've done better in the past.
Yeah, I'm no imitation Dave, am I?
No.
Mark, first stab at the roundup is all yours.
So I was actually really pleasantly surprised by this film. I thought the overall production value was fantastic. I think the direction was fantastic. The editing was all right. I didn't have any issues with that. The score and sound design was really, really impressive. The biggest standout, of course, was the set design and the utilization of practical effects where they were used. Negatives for me, I didn't think the casting was very good. I didn't think it was strong enough to carry this film. I thought it was quite distracting at times, especially in certain characters, more so some than others. The implications of the overall plot kind of felt like it went in a direction where I was wanting it to with the opening exposition, but then kind of lost itself somewhere along the way as the story developed. And I feel like when you're taking such an important IP such as Winnie the Pooh, although the curiosity of fans is going to be drawn to it based on the property, I feel like if that's the case, you then need to have something substantial enough to be able to back it up, which I feel this film just kind of went down a generic route. And as a fan of horror and a fan of low budget horror especially, I personally didn't want or expect anything more from it than what it delivered. But there's a reason why it has its score so low as it is on platforms such as Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, is because I don't feel like this should have been released in cinemas. I feel like that is the biggest failings that this film has overall. I feel like this was designed to go straight to streaming. It should have gone straight to streaming, but the fact that it didn't only piqued curiosity of people who aren't necessarily the target audience for a film like this. I feel like I am the target audience for a film like this. Like, I pride myself on enjoying straight to DVD films, straight to the bargain bin sort of horror movies. Those who follow my reviews closely enough know that this is sort of my wheelhouse in terms of poor horror films that get overlooked by so many people. But the fact that this went to cinema piqued the curiosity of the general in and out kind of horror fans who went in expecting something that this didn't turn out to be. So had I watched this at home on Shudder, I'd have walked away from it being like, you know what, that didn't cost me anything. And I had a great hour and 30 minutes with it for what it was. That was a cool idea, and well done for the team for bringing something interesting and different to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But when you're charging me £16, £17 a ticket to go and watch this in a cinema, plus the £13 that I'm spending on popcorn, I'm walking away 30, 40 quid out of pocket. Well, I'm walking 30, 40 quid out of pocket to watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And my overall reception of the film is then clouded by the experience and not necessarily the film. And I think that the biggest failings that this had is by going straight to theatre. And yeah, it might have benefited the company by budgetary wise, and they might have gained a lot of potential money back from it. But in terms of horror fans and people who are wanting to be tuning into a sequel to this, I just feel like it was a poor decision to make based on the quality of the overall production of this film. But that aside, that's not really my take. I'm just broadening my sort of overall opinion on the film and where I feel like the overall hatred seems to be coming from this film, because I pleasantly was surprised by it. I enjoyed it for what it was. It certainly went above and beyond what I expected from it, and I had a good time with the hour and 30 minutes I spent with it. It's, as I've listed, got great practical effects, great set design. The idea was great. The casting was a bit hit and miss at times, but overall, I didn't mind it. I didn't love it, but I didn't mind it. And for what it was, I don't begrudge the time that I spent watching it. And I would certainly watch a sequel to it. Score-wise, it's hard. It's hard to score it because for all the reasons that I've just listed. If I'd have uncovered this myself and it had not been so widely advertised and I just stumbled across it and I'd be like, oh, mate, I watched this film the other day that was about Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
It was actually really, really cool. Then I would probably score it a lot higher. But because it's so widely known and so widely advertised, I feel like that's the failings for this film. It's not catered to horror fans anymore. It's catered to the masses, and the masses are going to hate it, and the masses are going to shit on it, and that's, I just think that's the biggest problem with it. So I'm going to score it purely based on what I had with the experience of it, and that is going to be a 2.5 out of 5. So it's a middle of the road. It wasn't great, but I didn't begrudge it, and I enjoyed it for the certain elements of that were contained within the film. So it's a 2.5, middle of the road.
Okay. Distinctly average.
Distinctly average, which, to be fair, is better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it's a super low budget slasher, and that comes with drawbacks. The plot is not thrashed out properly. Some of the dialogue is atrocious. The small amounts of CGI are ropey. Thankfully, they're used sparingly. The fade to black, I've got a real issue with fade to black, and they fade to black like every other scene in this, and it really, really grates on me. I know it's a little thing, but I've spoken about in loads of low budget horrors we've done. The fade to black just drives me wild. Direction was lacking, not so much in the girls. I would probably say more in Pooh and Piglet. I seem to find there was lots of scenes where they stood still for a huge amount of time, or they just walked normally. And it's very difficult they didn't show any emotion from those characters, which is a shame. So, for example, Chris Cordell, who plays Piglet, is a classically trained stage actor. He is a bona fide good actor, but he didn't have direction enough to give Piglet any emotion. It was all, every scene with Piglet was just pure attack. And every scene with Pooh where it should have been emotion, he was just stood still. What I liked the overall concept, which I didn't think I was going to. The opening scenes with the cartoon I thought was brilliant. Great story set up. The kills in the movie are great. CGI, sorry, not the CGI, the practical effects is good. The fact they included Owl and Rabbit in the opening sequence and they never appeared on screen was a huge letdown for me.
Yeah,
I was waiting for those two characters to appear in. I was waiting for them to come and save Winnie the Pooh. I was expecting when Pooh was trapped between the cars, I was expecting Owl to come down and pluck Maria off the ground and Rabbit just step out of the shadows and slit Christopher's throat.
Yeah,
that's
that
kind of
awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted them to do. Killing Eeyore was a huge misstep, in my opinion. He's a character in this setting you could have had so much fun with.
It's just vital and pivotal to the Winnie the Pooh story, and now there is no scope to bring him back in sequels or anything. That's it now. It's just kind of done.
Yeah, I think that the scope to play with that character is kind of endless. The reluctant character, he's so miserable. He doesn't want to be doing it. He hates the life he's in, but he's killing because Pooh's making him. That gives you the potential of a Pooh versus Eeyore scene.
Yeah.
Great. I'd have loved that. I'm really interested to see. So they've done this with $100,000. I'm interested to see what they can do with $500,000. A bigger budget would sort out a lot of their effects. It would sort out the masks. It would sort out a lot of the quality of the script. I think that would help. There's no getting away from it. It's a blatant cash grab and a rip-off of a well-known nostalgic name. I'm not in for this kind of shameless robbing of horror fans, which is kind of what led to this being removed from the show in the first place. It was me and a crew member who argued over I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot being this blatant grab of money, and I don't like that. But that being said, although this is a cash grab, they've put thought into it. There is effort here, and I can appreciate the work that went into this. It's far better than I expected it to be. It delivered on a lot more, and it is bearable. Sorry, I've done it again. Also, Natasha is lovely, and I would love to see Natasha and the other actresses in this get more work on the back of this, and this be a platform to push their careers. For me, I'm kind of the same as you. It's a 4 out of 10, but I'd encourage people to watch it and make their own mind up, because what's some people don't score highly, other people might score this a 10.
And you know my taste in horror, and I love some fucking downright dog shit. And this sort of sits within that wheelhouse.
Yeah,
again, I think it's just a release base of it that's kind of compromised that experience.
Yeah, and the 4 out of 10, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I had fun with this, and you've listened to the episode. You've heard I had a lot of fun with it. It's just not a very good movie. It doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's just not a great movie. In the UK, you can rent this pretty much everywhere. I chose Amazon, but it's available on multiple places. Incredibly, not available in the US to stream.
That's strange.
Unbelievably not available. It's still doing some theatre circuits in the US, so I don't know if it's a case of they're going to wait till that runs its course and then stream it. But at the moment, you can't stream it. This is the part of the show where I beg, borrow, and steal and ask you for your support. It's really easy. Leave us a review on Spotify or Apple, or buy something from our shop at yourunpodcast.com. Time for Guess the Year. I like our new game.
I like our new game.
So last week's year was 2021. A nice, easy one, nice, recent one that everyone could score some points. Let's do another one. The movie this year is The Truman Show, starring Jim Carrey, who's sadly now retired. And the song is Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys. intergalactic planetary.
Banger.
Banger. Absolute banger. Mark, what's our movie quote?
Our movie quote is, "You better wake up. The world you live in is just a sugar-coated topping. There is another world beneath it, the real world. And if you want to survive it, you better learn to pull the trigger."
Oh, I think I know what that is as well.
Oh, interesting.
Don't
say it on the air, though.
That'd really fuck it up, wouldn't it? That's this movie from that year. We are back next Monday. I can't speak. Let me try again. We are back. It is late. We are back next Monday, and we are being joined by a listener's favourite, Mary, or as most of you know her, the fabulous queen of TikTok, Lady Crisis. And we are going to go how can I put it? We're going to be too hip to be square as we take on.
That is perfect.
That is perfect. We are definitely too hip to be square.
Yeah.
We are taking on American Psycho. But until then, thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Before I forget, you want to die tonight?
The cheaper, nastier, the better for me.
Would you have stayed after this?
Sorry, man. I was completely off guard there.
He's in his coffin. He's the undead.
This was the best bit of the film.
This is not the last time someone's going to steal your man.
Yeah, Mark's not a nice guy.
You didn't notice this scene. It looks like he's got an extra leg.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I've literally got nothing here. Surely that'd be even worse. The more listeners we have, the worse that's going to be.
Yeah, but I will just get a new phone.
Oh, I tell a lie, actually. Yeah, because we used to have teletext.
Art the Clown makes Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees look like pussies.
I can only assume that this was due to budgetary reasons and they couldn't afford enough extras.
Are you going to have Busta Rhymes in your list of characters?
Mate, I can't believe you don't know Idle Hands.
I'm going to ram my foot down his fucking throat. It was awesome.
It fucking wasn't awesome.